Let's rock and roll. We are back. Roundtable Rams, episode 6. Post Super Bowl, episode 6. Not that it involved the Rams because we know they got beat by the Seahawks, but
So
uh,
did the Patriots.
so did the Patriots. But this happened exactly like we thought it was going to happen, or at least I thought it was going to happen.
Same.
The AFC was very weak. I thought no matter who went in the NFC, whether it would have been the San Francisco 49ers, the Seahawks, and or the Rams, not N because there was only one NFC team, but no matter what, I thought any one of those teams were going to beat nobody, everybody on the AFC. Even if it would have been the Broncos with Bo Nix, I still think that the AFC was far weaker. Um,
Me
and there you go.
too. Completely agree. I knew whoever was headed for Seattle that they were just going to eat them alive with that defense.
And they did. And they
And
did.
they did. People were
Um,
saying it was boring. I love defensive football.
yeah. Jumping right into our first topic, we'll just jump around here instead of going into the order that I sent that we're going to talk about. But um, yeah, in terms of that Seattle, defense, this is what was strange to me about it. So when the MVP vote came out, 24-23, Drake May was one vote behind Matthew Stafford, and then there was one guy who voted for Justin Herbert and then caused a media crap storm online by saying that he admitting that he was the one that voted for him, and everybody was like, "You're an idiot." That's not what this is about. But the simple fact of the matter is, how in the hell was it decided by one vote?
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from Drake May. I'm
Mm-mm.
not saying that he did not have a wonderful season. I thought he had a great season. I thought the Patriots were a decent team. It's going to sound stupid to sit here and say that they're not a Super Bowl team because clearly they were. But I just didn't think that Drake May was anywhere near the level that Matthew Stafford was. I
No.
thought that Matthew Stafford was going to run away with that vote. I thought maybe it could have been more of a 30-10 type of situation. Sure, you give Drake May some love, but like he's not quite there yet. One vote. And
Yeah, it
I don't,
really, really shouldn't have been that close, in my opinion. I remember I didn't watch too many of the regular season Patriots games, but what I saw of him in the playoffs was, I was like, this is your MVP candidate? I'm not seeing it. And again, like you said, nothing to take away from him. I can't particularly like going against Matthew Stafford, like it's not comparable to me personally.
yeah, I think Matthew Stafford had eight fourth quarter comebacks in the 2025 regular season. Led the league in passing yards, led the league in passing touchdowns, set a career high in passing touchdowns for himself, as well as his 109.2 or whatever it was passer rating. The dude was on fire. Obviously, they went up against the Seahawks three times, excuse me. That third time, they barely got edged out by the Seahawks, and they rightfully could have gone to the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah.
And even in those games, look at the difference. I mean, the we can sit here and say like it was the Super Bowl, the Seahawks, yada yada yada. But I mean, that was the moment where you could have silenced the critics, or you could have like proven like, hey, I earned those 23 votes, and Drake May couldn't do a damn thing, nothing, not one
No,
thing.
I think he was taking a beating, first of all, and that as like a young quarterback, that rattles you. Like it's the biggest stage in football. You know that it's just you and the Seahawks. Everyone's all eyes on you. And sometimes that pressure just is a bit too much. Maybe that was on his mind, and maybe actually that was counterintuitive and did the complete opposite of what he wanted.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, again, we understand the variables. We understand all of that. But I don't know. In my opinion, if you're going to earn those 23 MVP votes, the playoffs should have been a different story, especially the Super Bowl. There should have been something going there.
Hmm.
Again, this is how good that Seahawks defense has been all year.
Yeah.
So I understand. I'm just saying, like, I think it's a little ridiculous that it was decided by one vote. And I wasn't the only
Hmm.
one saying so. Like,
No, I think he
there's
benefited from the turnaround of Mike Vrabel. Obviously, he won Coach of the Year for a reason. Was he the most valuable player on their team?
mhm,
Perhaps. But
mhm,
in the league, I think Matthew Stafford, I think again, like you said, the point is the closeness of the vote, not the fact that he was in contention.
mhm.
1 point is crazy.
Yeah, so he had 4,394 passing yards in the regular season. 113.5 passer rating, obviously a little bit better than Matthew Stafford, but he had 31 touchdowns. 31 to
Hmm.
46. That is a huge discrepancy. That alone, yeah, everyone can say, oh, well, he has Puka Nacua and he has Devontae Adams. Yeah, sure, okay, well, I'll give you that. But May had Stephon Diggs, and on top of that, uh, um, Devontae Adams was hurt. How many games? Five. The last 5 games of the regular
Yeah.
season, he was out because of his hamstring injury. So, I mean, and other than that, who else on the team was catching besides Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams? Colby Parkinson got like 400 yards ish. Nobody else on that team was close to that. So there's a huge drop off in talent other than those guys. And yeah, Colby Parkinson did emerge and did start catching and was utilized well in the passing game at the end of the season. But other than that, like they don't have a hugely impressive game. And yeah, they got Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, but again, the run game was kind of iffy towards the end of the season there, a little
Hmm.
bit. But I mean, you look at the Patriots; they have Ramondre Stevenson, and they have a good run game too. So I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
I mean, they won all those games for a reason. They got plenty of talent on the team. But yeah, I was very confused by that whole thing. I mean, and the Justin Herbert one.
Yeah,
Great.
I mean that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy to even vote for Justin Herbert for MVP. But you
Hey,
know,
look, it lost all credibility for me last year with the Josh Allen, or 2 years ago, whatever it was, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. That
yeah, I
it
mean,
lost all credibility for me
yeah,
then. So.
yeah. I mean, we can call it popularity, we can call it whatever, whatever, whatever. But the simple fact is, like Matthew Stafford should have been not. I would have been fine with him not being unanimous, of course, but
Mhm.
he should have ran away with
The
that vote.
runaway, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, even in towards the end of the season, like with the Seahawks being where they were at, and the fact that the Rams took it to the Seahawks already previously in the season, and all of the talent that they had to play, the 49ers twice.
Yeah,
there's
that division is a lot stronger than what's going on in the East.
the strength of schedule in comparison should have been enough for him to lock that vote in, like way more than what it was, is what we're saying. And obviously, look at the Super Bowl, look at what happened. Drake May was absolutely crushed. Um, I who's to say that I don't know. We couldn't have seen that anyway because it wouldn't have been Seahawks Rams in Super Bowl regardless. But still, I'm just saying like they did play them before. Both of those games were decided by field goal less. The last game was decided by 4 points. I'm just saying like there's. I hate saying this. People say it all the time, but there are levels to this, and I just think Matthew Stafford was on a different level than everybody else in the
No,
league.
absolutely, completely. And considering his age as well, it's not to be sniffed at when you get to that age. It's traditional to slow down and it's not, but hey, maybe this one differential thing will serve as a little chip on Stafford's shoulder and say, hey, even in my prime, you couldn't fully back me. Well, look, I'm coming back next season and see what I've got.
Yeah, he is coming back next season. He announced it. We talked about it. We discussed it. Everybody's very happy. But one person that is not coming back is offensive lineman Rob Havenstein. He is
Yeah.
officially retired from the NFL. He announced it just yesterday on Instagram. 11-year career, one of the best offensive linemen in the entire NFL during that time. Very, very good lineman, except for he suffered in 2025 from ankle and knee bursitis. I have no idea what that is. I didn't take the time
Mm.
to look that up, but I'm imagining it probably wasn't great. He only played
You
in
need those
seven.
ankles to be
Yeah, well,
alignment.
knee, yeah. He only played 7 games, so he was replaced by young upstart Warren McClendon Jr., who is fantastic and did a very, very good job in relief of haven't seen. Um, I think he was. Let me see. Let me look at my notes here. Bu- 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 He was the seventh best tackle per PFF. Warren
Well,
McClendon Jr. was. So he stepped up in a big way. I don't even think if Havenstein came back, he would have potentially been slotted in as a starting offensive lineman because of that unit was doing so good.
yeah.
But the bottom line is he's gone. And so I'll just read some of what he said in his retirement announcement. He said 11 years, 150 plus starts, four-time captain, four NFC West championships, two NFC championships, and one Super Bowl champion. What a ride it's been. I can look back on my career and smile knowing I have given everything I had and more to the game I love. I'm saying that I am officially retiring from the NFL. Thank you to my teammates, coaches, and fans who have supported me and helped me over these past 11 years. I have had the time of my life with the Los Angeles Rams, formerly known as the St. Louis Rams, and can't thank the whole organization enough for giving me a shot back in 2015. Although some in the organization weren't totally convinced, glasses emoji. So, um, yeah, great offensive lineman. You know, it really sucks that he had to go out in an injured season, but maybe that's the reason why he also chose to step away. I
Yeah.
don't know what knee and ankle bursitis is. I don't know what that could become. Let me see. I'm gonna look it up actually.
Yeah, let's get some medical accuracy in here.
Why
See
not?
what it could be become,
Okay, so
especially at 33.
yeah, according to Google, ankle and knee bursitis are painful conditions caused by inflammation of the small fluid-filled sacs, bursae, that cushion joints, often due to overuse, pressure, or injury. Symptoms include localized swelling, warmth, tenderness, and pain with movement. Treatment typically involves rest, ice, NSAIDs, and activity modification. Recovery usually takes a few weeks. Clearly, whatever he was going through was far worse than that.
Yeah.
So those sacks filling full of fluid probably happened, and they probably didn't go down for a majority of the season, leaving him on the sideline. So, you know, you're 11 years in this game as an offensive lineman. You know, that's usually the case for offensive linemen is around that. I don't think there's many offensive linemen that go beyond like 15 years in the league.
Hmm.
They are that's one of the hardest, if not the hardest position to play in football, in my opinion. And you
Yeah.
get beat up a lot. You're constantly blocking 350-pound other linemen and linebackers and stuff. So, you know, hats off to Havenstein. Great career. You know, he spent the entire time with the Rams, sure to be probably on the Ring of Honor at some point. I don't know
Hmm.
about Hall of Fame yet, but good luck.
Good luck. I mean, that's amazing. And to have been there, see it through from St. Louis to Los Angeles, like he's a pillar of this team, and I'm sure they're going to miss him a lot. But I think it's good of him to see that what was, coming behind him was working, didn't feel the need or the greed to get back onto the field and kind of take that away. He was like, hey, look, I mean, they're fine, doing just fine. I've given all I've got a Super Bowl ring, got all those accolades. I'm good. It's good of him to know when to step back and like when to take care of his body.
Definitely, I couldn't agree more with that. You know, as a lot of players typically say, or this a lot of fighters say this too as well in the MMA game. They say they want to retire from the sport. They don't want the sport to retire them. And I think that there's a lot of
Absolutely.
wisdom in that because yeah, you don't want to go out having CTE or having something worse in the NFL
Mm.
where you can't walk or you can't do whatever. Oh, excuse me. So that being said, it does bring up an interesting puts the Rams in an interesting position draft wise as well as free agency. So
Yep.
the unit played very well. They were a top five unit in most rankings, but there was a big issue that occurred when Steve Avila got hurt and Kevin Dotson got hurt. They both missed two games. Behind
Yeah, what's
that,
going on with those ankles in Los Angeles? Guys, do we
I
need a new
mean,
strength and conditioning coach? Like, what's
I,
going on?
something, you know, I don't know. It's warm out here. Is that
Yeah.
need to be cold? I don't know. But the bottom line is this puts the Rams in a very tough position, in my
Mhm.
opinion, even though they have a really strong offensive line collectively. Those injuries are going to impact them even more because now you don't have Rob Havenstein to be there as a rotational and backup player if that was going to be the case for him in the 2026 season if he remained. So,
Yeah.
in my opinion, you have to start finding those replacements for those older players now. I
Yeah.
think you have to go look in the draft, especially get those young, you know, developmental offensive linemen and see what you can get to start there.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Dotson's 29, Avila's 26. I mean, that's not that old, but if we're saying, Havenstein retired when he was 33. They got a few years left, but when you've got your MVP back there and you're kind of chasing down a championship, like that's kind of where you got to start. You got to start with protecting your MVP, protecting the guy that's going to be, you don't want him to get injured, and it really starts with the offensive line. So, perfect place to build in the offseason.
Definitely. I mean, Lamar Jackson's also 27. He's not necessarily the oldest, but he's also dealt with some injuries. He dealt with injuries. Like this is if this is the 2024 Rams, all four starting offensive linemen were hurt in the beginning of the
Mm.
season. That's a Rams started 0 and or 2-4 their first 6 games. So when you don't have that core offensive lineman unit there, you see what happens. And obviously that
Yeah.
was 2024. 2025 was vastly better, but still, Alaric Jackson, Kevin Dotson, and Steve Avila dealt with some sort of ailments throughout the entire season. So you got to go after those second, third tier players that you can build up to be those replacements, and also that can come out in a pinch if anything does happen, because now you lost your veteran captain to retirement. So,
Hmm.
Les Snead did say that there was going to be a plan in place if Stafford returned, and I think you have to start right there with the offensive line.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, you also have to be careful with those injuries. Like we said, could they be re-aggravated? Could they be things that, keep coming back? Could they be things that put them out of the game? You don't know. It seems to have, taken its toll on Havenstein. If that is similar situation with the other linemen, then, they need those people that can kind of come in, be the new generation for their new quarterback. So it's something that they don't have to worry about further down the line when it comes to needing to find Matthew Stafford's replacement. They don't want to be having to decide between quarterback protection. So it seems like a good place to go.
Definitely. And, speaking of that, Stafford announced his return, but we don't know past 2026. We don't know if he's going to want to play beyond that. We don't know what the 2026 season is going to hold for him.
Mm,
Maybe he comes out firing and he's up for MVP again, which could be the case because it's
yeah,
Matthew Stafford. Like, he's only gotten better with age.
for sure. Did it this year, so why can't he do it again?
But at the same time, that window is shrinking rapidly. I think if he does play past 2026, 2027, probably he's going to be his final season, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
it
I
just
agree.
depends.
I agree. I think 2026 seems to be, he wants to come back, last ride, win it all, retire in glory. And that would be the narrative that he would like to pursue. Would he maybe, if he gets that close again, if he comes back to the NFC Championship and he's like just almost there? I wonder if it will be a thing of if he's noticing the same mistakes, if he's noticing something that he can't quite, a level that he can't quite maintain, will he then decide to step back? But I think I see 2026 being his year of glory, coming back, maybe winning the Super Bowl, going to the Super Bowl. I think that's what he wants. I'm sure that's what he wants. His like, I mean, that's what all players want, right? Their last game to be the Super Bowl.
I mean, that would be incredible. He could ride off into the sunset as a two-time Super Bowl champion, as well as
Yeah.
potentially being a two-time Super Bowl MVP. I don't recall. Was he the Super Bowl MVP then, or was it Cooper Cup? Might have been Cooper Cup.
Oh, I think it was Cooper
It
Cup.
was Cooper Cup. Okay, so anyway, it doesn't matter. The point being, like, what a way to end your career. You come back for one more season. Plus, the Rams are right there, as everybody saw. They almost beat the Seahawks. They're still got the core people together. Obviously, Rob Havenstein is now retired, but you bring most of those people back. I think they have the cap space to do so. They have 2 first-round picks that you can use on practically whatever you want to use them on. Trade back, I don't know, whatever.
Hmm.
But regardless, Stafford is still not going to be playing 5 years
Much
down the
longer.
line. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think he's going to be an Aaron Rodgers for sure. I think he's realizing that he was that close to glory. He's going to go back and try to chase it all. And if he doesn't get it, maybe that's when he goes, you know what? I had my time. It's okay. I'm going to walk away or whatever.
Yeah.
But the point being, one of the main things that you got to do roster wise is protect Stafford. And that's bolstering that O line even more than what it is.
Yeah. And you want to build up around whoever's coming in next. If the Rams stay smart, they know that they're playing the long game. They're not just playing for when Stafford retires. They know that like building a younger team around that so that a quarterback can come in and step into his position is the smartest move to do. I think that they are like some of those teams around the league that do have those like longevity things. They are consistently good. The Rams are consistently good. And so the best thing to do is have a team that's going to long last and outlive Matthew Stafford. You don't want Matthew Stafford to retire and then be like, oh, what do we do now? We need to
Yeah.
figure out wide receiver. We need to figure, because Puka Nakua is getting older, Devontae Adams is getting older. Whether they stay around changes the narrative. So there's a lot to think about, but I think that they're in a good position this offseason to kind of just keep building so that they can keep lasting.
Definitely. Man, I don't know what's going on with my throat here. So,
You're catching that LA, it's going to be your ankles
yeah, I
next.
know I'm gonna get
Watch out.
ankle and knee bursitis by talking about
Yeah,
it.
those
Uh,
fluid sacs. Watch
yeah,
out.
they're in my throat apparently. So, um, here's a little interesting. segue, a little interesting thing to bring up. So Field Yates, who everybody knows is a really big, draft expert for the NFL, he released a mock draft, and the Rams, as we keep talking about, have two first round picks. They're picking number 13 overall via the Atlanta trade that they engaged in last season, and then they're also picking number 29th. Care to take a guess at what positions they draft in those two positions according to Phil Yates?
I'd hope it's offensive line.
Nope.
No. Oh no, pass rush.
No.
Oh golly.
So interesting enough, the first one I agree with. The second one, I'm like, okay, that's a choice. Cornerback both times.
Well, one's fine. Do we need two?
I don't think so, but at the same time, like Roger McCreary was hurt, Kella
Mm,
Witherspoon was hurt, Quentin Lake was hurt. They had a lot of issues on secondary, and they're fourth worst in passing yards given up in 2025. So that's not a place where somebody like the Rams should be, and arguably that's a major reason why they probably didn't make it to the Super Bowl. They were giving
mm.
up, I want to say, 276. I think it's 276 yards per game in the passing department. Let me see. Yards allowed. Ba, 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 ba. Yep. Fourth worst, 276 per game. That's not great. So,
No.
Roger McCreary and dang, who's the other one? There's another one. Using my research abilities.
Hey, that's what Google's for.
Yep. Yeah, so sorry, Cam Curl and Roger McCreary
Yes, of
are
course,
on
yeah.
their way to being free agents. So you have to make a choice there. Those are two. Roger McCreary was hurt. Do you take a flyer on him or do you bring him back? Darion Kendrick as well is another one that's I think he's ending his rookie contract. Jesus. And Akella Witherspoon. So sorry, I keep coughing. I don't know what's going on with my throat here, but there's a lot of questions in the secondary. So that being said, going
Mm,
back to Field Yates's mock draft, so Jermon McCoy from Tennessee,
yeah,
that is the first pick. Here's the weird part about it: he tore his ACL and missed the entire 2025 season, but he's still considered to be one of the top cornerbacks, if not the top cornerback in this year's draft.
for
So,
sure. But can they afford to be patient like that?
right. Can they take a flyer on a guy that just is recovering from ACL tear? Um,
Mm. Maybe if you get a vet in to cover that corner while he heals and you do the 1 year deal and you kind of, I'm not sure about the two-time cornerback in the first round. Why would you not trade out if you didn't feel like you needed someone? I don't know.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. And so number 29, they also go with, funny enough, Colton Hood, who is the other cornerback from Tennessee. Um, Field Yates says
Why not?
a double dip at cornerback for the Rams? Question mark. And from the same college? Question mark! Exclamation point. He says, yeah, I believe this move merits consideration given the overall strength of the Rams roster and the vulnerability of their secondary. I agree. Hood didn't actually take any snaps on the field with McCoy as he transferred to Tennessee prior to the 2025 season, and McCoy sat out. But Hood more than made up for McCoy's void with 10 pass breakups this past season. I mean, sure, I guess. I don't think that it would be smart to go double cornerback simply because they can go and find somebody in a veteran, a proven veteran in
Yeah.
free agency, and it's the Rams, and you're that close to being a Super Bowl champion, and you
It's an
have that much
attractive
cap
spot to
space.
land.
Yeah, I don't. Anybody looking at the situation and Stafford announcing his return is going to be like, nah, I want to go to Los Angeles, try to win a ring.
Hmm.
Again, I brought him up per the Ravens, but I'll bring him up again for the Rams. Trevon Diggs is right there. He had injury issues too, but he's still a proven veteran. I would say go that route more than you would go Jermon McCoy, in my opinion, but that's just me.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna do one injured player for the other, why not do the one that's the vet and been around the league and kind of is a guaranteed hit if he is healthy?
Definitely. But yeah, I think it would be weirdly irresponsible to go double cornerback in the first round.
No, I
I
think you could trade that second pick out for a vet quarterback, pick a guard, I don't know, if you need a corner, fine, pick one you want him to come up behind and but the vet I think is the most important decision personally.
Yeah, I mean, as weird as it may sound, sure you can go McCoy at number 13 and take a flyer. Trying to think of that. Who's the injured? Man, the injured cornerback from last year's draft. That God, I forgot his name. He was in a similar situation. He got drafted and he did pretty well. Anyway, the point being, sure, go McCoy. But the secondary does need to be fixed. That is a main pain point for the Rams. And speaking of which, McVay already made a big change in that cornerback department, in that secondary department. So the Rams are expected to hire, funny enough, Tennessee's Michael Hunter as defensive backs coach. So he
They're
had
looking
just
down south.
he just got hired, though, to be fair. So he was with the Ohio State the last 2 years, and he had just gotten hired to be the new defensive backs coach for Tennessee. And McVay went and plucked him away from there.
He
Um,
said, "Hey, we got we got championships over here. We got the NFC championship over here. So would you like to come over here instead?"
yeah, so it's interesting though because the Rams already have Chris Beek as safeties coach, and then we all know Aubrey Pleasant very well. He's the pass game coordinator. So I'm wondering, like, is Beek gone? Did he get let go because he's a safeties coach? I don't know if it's you're going somebody above that, like he can remain the only the safeties coach, and then you got Michael Hunter coming in, so you got Aubrey Pleasant, Michael Hunter, and then Beak. I don't
I
know.
think I read that Pleasant was looking around at DC jobs.
Yeah, but I don't know if that he got. I don't know if he's gonna get hired. I think he's still with the Rams as far as my
Yeah,
understanding is.
but
So
maybe they're just prepping for the
yeah,
sake
I
of
mean,
future building.
I would imagine he probably gets a DC job next season for sure because he's a fantastic coach. But the Rams are making a big change there in the secondary. Clearly, McVay understands the issues that that unit had. The stats are right there on the paper for everybody to read. 276 yards per game is atrocious.
And
You
when you're
can't.
going up against the Niners and the Seahawks, you got to proof that.
Yep, 100%. Let's see.
And I
I
guess
can.
now the Cardinals, now they got a new shiny new head coach.
Yep. Oops, that is. Wait, what, what the heckle? 1 second. What is going on here? I was trying to look at what the Seahawks were at, but ESPN doesn't want to work for me, apparently.
What cap wise?
No, I was going to look at what they only gave it 193.9 yards per
Oh,
game passing, and uh, they're 10th best in the league in passing
hmm,
yards. So, I mean, that's what you're up against. You got to
yeah,
look at it that way. That's what you're up against twice a year, assuming that the Seahawks keep majority of their players, which obviously there's always going to be turnover, always going to be free agents that go
yeah,
elsewhere for those bigger contracts. But, you look at the way that they played, you look at the way that the roster has been built. You can fully expect that they're going to make a deep run again next season. Absolutely.
absolutely.
But that being said, the Rams are addressing that cornerback issue in a big way by bringing in Michael Hunter to add to that coaching staff, and as well as, potentially going and drafting a quarterback in that first round, whether it's at number 13 or number 29. I think it's smart to take a cornerback for sure. You want one, you need one, but I don't know about doing a double dip on doing both. Um, and again, could be maybe you do go McCoy at number 13. And I fully agree with you that I think that they probably do trade back out of that lower first round. They trade with somebody and stack more draft capital, and you start building through the trenches again. You start, Les Snead is great at what he does, so we know that. We know he can evaluate talent. We know he can bring talent in. So there's no questioning that whatsoever. But you have to start bolstering that secondary, bolstering that O line, doing a double dip in the first round? No. But yes, you have to address it.
Hey, I mean, maybe they're seeing something we're not, but yeah, I can't see that happening personally. I don't think so. As for the Michael Hunter thing, I think it's a great pickup. He's young, he's played mostly on practice squad, but he's played, he's got the experience, national championship, Ohio State. So seems like a great addition. Again, it could be a future-proofing thing. It could be, they're just bringing in guys, younger guys to kind of have around the building to know that like when their star's getting picked up, because it happens. It happens every year, people looking in at the Rams to see who they can snap up for their own team. So he might just be doing a smart move of, making sure that those people are there. And I think he'll do the same for the team too.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think it's now we're seeing. a lot more of the former player become coaches, getting way more
Yeah.
jobs and way more opportunities in the NFL. Not that it wasn't that before, but I just feel like it's overwhelmingly that now. Because I mean, obviously you're a player, you see the field, you know what's going on, you
Hmm.
know how to, especially if you can transition into college, like Michael Hunter, as you said, he was on practice squads, and then he immediately went into coaching, was a graduate assistant, worked his way up as defensive backs coach and all that, was with at the collegiate level, but now he's with the
Yeah.
Rams, and now you're learning under Aubrey Pleasant. You're learning under one of the best coaches in the entire NFL, on top of NFL, on top of Sean McVay. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of great leadership there, a lot of opportunity for you to learn at the NFL level from some of the best coaches in the entire league. And yeah, they are addressing that secondary already with the new coach, new member of the coaching staff. And yeah, we fully expect that they are going to be bringing somebody in the draft in the first round, potentially at cornerback, or they're going to be addressing that with a big fish in free agency.
Yeah. Hopefully both.
Hopefully both. Yeah. I mean, those are the two biggest weak points right now on this current Rams roster is the offensive line and as well as the secondary. More so the secondary, I feel, but you still need to get, like we said, those second, third tier players on the offensive line, build that up a little bit more, start finding
Yeah.
those pieces that are going to replace those older players that are also hurt. Like I brought up Roger McCreary, Keller Witherspoon, Quentin Lake is fantastic, but injuries sink units. So you need to find those
Yeah.
players to jump in at a moment's notice.
Yeah, I mean, we said it multiple times. The Rams are in a great position this offseason. They really have the bones, the skeleton of what they need. Just adding extra players around is going to really strengthen them for the next season. And I think that they are probably looking at the step up of the Seahawks, the step up of, well, I mean, not the step up of 49ers, they're always in it, but, and potentially the Cardinals now being a threat. Like that is important to build around your division because that's 6 wins a year that you can guarantee if you can kind of suss out the pieces that you need. A cornerback is going to be needed for going up against all those teams. But mostly, I think, to be honest, the offense is the offensive line is a big threat because we saw with the Patriots on Sunday night, like just complete collapse, couldn't get anything done. That pressure on Drake May, and Matthew Stafford is more seasoned than him, but like if you're just being backed up, you're just being chased down, your offensive line's collapsing. You're right, he's not as young as he used to be. Can't run the same way that May sometimes tried but failed. So it's important to build around that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll see. We will be talking all about that in the coming weeks because we are a little bit more than a month away from free agency. Or actually, I think a month. I believe it starts on March 11th. I think.
Maybe. Could be exactly a month today.
Let's see. When does free agency start? March 11th
March
at four.
9th.
Oh,
Oh.
no, that's the legal tampering period. Negotiations are allowed, but the
Uh,
actual new league year, yeah. So between March 9th and March 11th is when we start hearing about what players are going to go where. And then March 11th, obviously, that's when the official league year starts. That's when free agency starts. So regardless, a little less than a month left,
yep.
and we will be talking all about players that potentially the Rams could be aiming to get and should be aiming to get. And yeah,
And we'll see.
we will see. This has been Rams Roundtable Rams, episode number 6. We will be back next week to talk more about free agency and everything going on. Yeah,